Alex stared at the crumpled receipt in his hand. The small, irritating transaction representing the 1,000 tiny drains on his focus and energy. The sun was setting, casting long, dusty shadows across his apartment floor, mirroring the shadow that seemed to fall perpetually over his financial future. For years, he had chased the elusive promise of financial freedom, only to find himself trapped in a cycle of endless steps, confusing acronyms, and gurus promising complex, multi-year plans. He felt perpetually behind, not just financially, but energetically. Every article on investing felt like reading ancient Greek. Every suggestion to budget felt like being asked to perform advanced mental gymnastics after running a marathon. His pain wasn't just a lack of money. It was a crushing belief that abundance required a level of effort, expertise, and time commitment that he simply did not possess. "I just don't have the energy for another 10-step program," he often muttered to himself, sinking further into the heavy armchair that felt less like comfort and more like a trap. Prosperity, in his mind, was reserved for the hyper-organized, the early risers, the ones who spoke the secret language of spreadsheets and compound interest. He saw himself as inherently flawed, lacking the requisite discipline to climb the immense walls separating his current reality from a truly thriving life. The deeper, more insidious conflict, however, was internal. He spent his days fighting low-grade emotional static. Worry hummed constantly beneath the surface, a persistent, low-frequency drain. Every unexpected bill triggered a surge of fear. Every success was immediately tempered by the guilt of spending or the anxiety of losing it. He desperately wanted financial expansion, yet his inner landscape was dominated by contraction. Heavy emotions, racing thought about worst-case scenarios, and a constant, invisible shield deflecting opportunities. He was vibrating scarcity, even when reading books about abundance. He hadn't realized that the internal state he carried, that heavy, exhausted resignation, was actively dictating the opportunities and connections that could enter his life. He was putting out a signal that screamed, "I am overwhelmed. Keep complexity close and simplicity far away." He thought the task was to rearrange his external world, the debts, the savings accounts. But the real task was internal, invisible, and far more immediate. He yearned for a switch, a simple pivot that didn't require weeks of intensive study or massive behavioral upheaval. He needed proof that transformation wasn't a marathon, but a sudden, instantaneous shift in perspective and energy. Could it be possible that the gate to abundance wasn't guarded by a terrifyingly complex ledger, but by a simple 1-minute internal adjustment? An adjustment so quick, so potent, that it could immediately raise his energetic frequency, transforming him from a magnet for worry into a clear channel for flow? He was skeptical, exhausted, yet desperate enough to seek the invisible truth hidden beneath the visible struggle. The weight of his current reality was entirely self-imposed, a byproduct of an untuned frequency. The realization, just beginning to bubble up, was that the truly wealthy weren't necessarily the hardest workers. They were the ones who had mastered the art of immediate, intentional energy alignment. This is where we begin. You are not destined for perpetual exhaustion, and financial transformation does not demand your life force. It demands your awareness. Part 1. Internal conflict with money. Let's be honest. That heavy feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed by money is not a personal failure. It's an energetic drain. You're not feeling the sting of debt. You're feeling the shame and fear that society has wrapped around the concept of not having enough. This internal conflict, the gap between the life you desire and the resources you feel you deserve, creates a constant state of low-level emotional turbulence. When your system is flooded with stress hormones triggered by financial worries, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex decision-making and innovation, simply shuts down. You become incapable of seeing solutions because your mind is locked in survival mode. Validation is crucial here. The fear is real. The exhaustion is justified, and you're not alone in feeling that prosperity seems cruel, complicated, and reserved for others. But understand this. Complexity is often a distraction from the true source of your financial friction. The complexity is external. The solution is deeply, instantly internal. We must move past the survival fear and into the creative clarity that abundance requires. Your feeling of lack is a learned emotional state, not an objective truth about your capacity to thrive. Part 2. Awareness and belief system. That feeling of heaviness, that persistent low-frequency hum, has a history. Your current financial reality is less a result of poor math and more a result of inherited and absorbed programming. Where did you learn that money is complicated? Was it the whispered arguments behind closed doors, the constant anxiety in your childhood home, or cultural narratives that tie wealth to suffering or moral corruption? We carry these scripts unconsciously, and they sabotage us silently. If your internal story says, money comes hard and leaves fast, or if I get too successful, I will lose my relationships, then your subconscious mind will dutifully create complexity and resistance to keep that story true. Your first step toward financial mastery is becoming an anthropologist of your own mind. We must identify the specific, outdated beliefs currently operating as background software, draining your energy and keeping your frequency low. They are subtle, often manifesting as procrastination, self-sabotage, or unnecessary spending rooted in fear. Recognizing these scripts is the moment the light turns on. You realize you are not flawed. You're simply operating on instructions written by people who didn't understand the energetic flow of abundance. Part 3. Breaking financial myths. We need to aggressively disrupt these low-frequency narratives and replace them with intentional, high-frequency truths. Let's tackle the 3 most pervasive myths that keep people stuck in complexity. Myth 1. Prosperity requires endless sacrifice. Truth. Prosperity is a natural outcome of alignment, not depletion. Myth 2. Money is dirty or stressful. Truth. Money is a neutral resource, an energetic tool amplified by your intention. Myth 3. I must be perfect before I deserve wealth. Truth. You are worthy of abundance now, imperfectly and completely. Your inherent value is not calculated by your bank balance. We replace the heavy script of money is complicated with the affirmation, I am a clear, calm channel for resources and ideas. We shift from the fear-based statement, I don't have enough time or energy, to the powerful truth, I attract creative solutions and flow with ease. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a deliberate neurological reprogramming. By choosing empowering truths, you are tuning your internal radio, deliberately shifting your frequency from a static of scarcity to the clear signal of possibility. This internal shift is a prerequisite for all meaningful external change. Part 4. Shifting mindset through action, the 1-minute adjustment. The secret to immediate frequency adjustment is not a grand, time-consuming ritual. It is a rapid, intentional pivot from worry to radical gratitude. When you feel that tightness, that worry about a bill, a decision, or a looming commitment, your frequency drops instantly. To shift it, you need the 1-minute adjustment. Stop everything. Close your eyes for 60 seconds. Instead of trying to force a solution to the problem, deliberately focus on 3 things right now that are undeniably abundant in your life. The roof over your head, the air in your lungs, the specific knowledge you possess. Flood your system with the feeling of having enough. This simple, minute-long action halts the stress cycle, pulls you out of the scarcity-fueled prefrontal shutdown, and instantly raises your frequency. It's an energetic declaration. I am safe. I am already resourceful. This clarity, born from instantaneous gratitude, is what attracts the practical tools, the innovative ideas, and the opportune connections you need. You are replacing habitual panic with intentional presence. Do this 3 times a day for 60 seconds and watch the practical landscape of your life respond. Part 5. Empowerment and Identity. You are now consciously moving from the identity of the exhausted chaser to the intentional attractor. The key to long-term prosperity is sustaining this higher frequency, not just hitting occasionally. This requires claiming your new identity as someone who manages, attracts, and multiplies resources with grace and ethical alignment. A financially mature person views money not as a source of stress, but as an expansion of their ability to serve, create, and experience joy. Your prosperity is not separate from your purpose. It fuels it. When you feel light, focused, and purposeful, you naturally attract opportunities that match that energy. You stop chasing complex solutions because you realize complexity only exists at the low frequency of fear. At the high frequency of intentional clarity, solutions appear simple, timely, and logical. Claim this identity now. I am the master of my financial energy. This means trusting your inner guidance, acting from a place of sufficiency, and recognizing that your emotional state is your most powerful asset management tool. Part 6. Reprogramming and Commitment. Let us commit to anchoring this new high-frequency reality. Spend one final minute visualizing the feeling of clarity and ease that comes with financial alignment. See yourself operating not out of obligation, but out of genuine enthusiasm. Feel the lightness of knowing that every resource you need is either already here or actively moving toward you. We are not just setting goals. We are setting a frequency. Repeat this commitment internally. My financial reality is a mirror of my intentional energetic alignment. I choose simplicity, clarity, and continuous flow. I am worthy of abundance, and I allow prosperity to enter my life with ease. The hard truth is that transformation begins the moment you decide your internal state is non-negotiable. Stop delaying your abundance until you feel ready or smart enough. The 1-minute adjustment is proof that your entire financial evolution can begin right now, in this moment of conscious, intentional shift. The long, hard journey is an illusion. The instantaneous, light-filled journey is your true path. Activate your alignment, and the universe will meet you there. Alex opened his eyes, the remnant of the 60-second intentional focus lingering like a warm residue in the room. The exhaustion was not entirely gone. Old patterns don't vanish instantly, but the oppressive, magnetic pull of financial dread had loosened its grip. The crumpled receipt lay on the table, no longer a symbol of failure, but simply a piece of paper. He noticed the air conditioning humming, a sound he hadn't consciously registered before, and realized that his internal sound system, the relentless worrying dialogue, had finally paused, allowing the real-world sounds to filter through. He felt a profound, almost startling sense of energetic space in his chest where previously a tight, cold knot of anxiety resided. This was the immediate, indisputable result of tuning his frequency. It was less about financial data and more about emotional physics. He finally grasped the insidious nature of his previous struggle. He had been mistaking emotional resistance for objective financial reality. The difficulty he perceived in addressing his debts or planning his future was never rooted in a lack of intelligence or capability. It was a paralyzing weight of his low-frequency state. When his internal system was saturated with stress, every simple task, like organizing a statement or making a phone call, required an almost superhuman expenditure of will. Now, operating from his place of intentional, calibrated clarity, the complex walls he had built around his finances simply dissolved. A simple, logical idea surfaced. Instead of dreading his bills, he would dedicate 15 focused minutes each morning, immediately after his 1-minute alignment, to organizing them, treating the process as an expression of competence rather than an act of penance. The true mastery, Alex understood, was not acquiring abundance of money, but acquiring internal discipline to maintain this high-frequency baseline. Abundance was not a treasure buried in a far-off field. It was a baseline environment he had to commit to inhabiting. This required vigilance, particularly when unexpected financial challenges arose. He established a new rule. Whenever an external trigger threatened to pull him down into the familiar heavy emotions, he would not react externally until he had successfully executed his 60-second internal adjustment. He was no longer fighting the flow of money. He was directing the flow of his energy. This subtle but profound shift meant he stopped chasing complex external strategies designed to fix a broken inner state and started attracting simple, elegant solutions that matched his new, elevated state of calm competence. The deeper realization that settled over him was this: financial struggle is often a result of emotional avoidance. We avoid feeling the pain of scarcity, and that avoidance manifests as procrastination, complexity, and self-sabotage in our financial behaviors. By committing to the 1-minute adjustment, by forcing himself to access and feel the reality of immediate, present abundance, Alex had disarmed the emotional triggers entirely. He wasn't ignoring the facts. He was refusing to allow the facts to dictate his emotional state. He was choosing to respond from worthiness rather than react from fear. This choice transforms money from a source of perpetual anxiety into a neutral, powerful tool, ready to amplify the purpose and clarity he was now generating. This transformation is the quiet revolution of self-mastery. It powerfully confirms that your greatest wealth-generating asset is not a stock portfolio, but your capacity for instantaneous, intentional internal calibration. Do not wait for an external condition, a pay raise, a windfall, or the end of a difficult month, to grant you permission to feel successful and capable. Claim your frequency now, in the midst of your current reality. Your ability to elevate your internal energy in 60 seconds is your ultimate hedge against economic volatility and the clearest signal you can send to the universe. Step forward, not striving with effort, but flowing with grace. Allow the simplicity of this internal tuning to guide your next practical financial step, trusting implicitly that the universe responds not to the volume of your struggle, but to the crystalline clarity of your signal. The door to true, sustainable thriving open the moment you realize you don't need more time, more knowledge, or more effort. You simply needed to tune into the frequency you already deserved. The hard, complex journey was always an illusion. The instantaneous, light-filled journey begins now.